Every single person on the planet is unique. And as a result, everybody needs something slightly different in order to find their best health and happiness. To understand the basic differences of how people are different, you need to understand the 6 health types: the activator, connector, the guardian, the diplomat, the sensor, and the crusader. What we know generally is that the sensors and crusaders are more ectomorphic, or at the ectomorphic end. We know that the activators and connectors are more at the mesomorphic end, and we know that the guardians and diplomats are more endomorphic by nature. These are very important when you start understanding how these ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph are created, but also what the best environment is going to be for each of these body types, as it differs quite significantly. So we've got activator versus the diplomat. They're on opposite sides of the ph360 circle and therefore have very opposing traits. We know that an activator is very high in adrenaline and testosterone. This means they go looking for risk, they go looking for challenge and competition, they do first and think later. And this is because their body is just generally designed to get into things. As far as exercise is concerned, they do really, really well with short HIIT training sessions. Their food is very regular, 6 meals per day, and the big motivators for them are competition and variety. The type of body that they have is generally shorter, quite muscular, as you can see from the pictures above, and you can see that both gymnastics and CrossFit are an absolute fit for this type of body. We then have the diplomat, and they've got a very fine balance with serotonin. And what this means is that they need to, before they take any action, predict all outcomes that might come from a particular decision. In order for them to feel comfortable doing this, they need to be given time and space. So you definitely don't want to rush a diplomat. And when they commit for the long term. Instead of do first, think later, they like to think of everything in detail. And sometimes they are on the borderline of rumination. As far as exercise is concerned for them, they do well with heavy weights, long rest in between sets, and also they do well with low to moderate intensity cardiovascular training as well. Their food is set back in the day. They're more night owls, so they actually need a later breakfast, 3 meals per day, no snacks. And from a motivator point of view, when they have a personal goal that they've set themselves and they have adequate time to reach it, then they'll be very committed. You can see the type of structure that a diplomat has. It's taller, broader, a lot of muscle, just like the Rock, and sometimes they can hold quite a bit of fat tissue as well. Then we talk about the Crusader and the Guardian. The Crusader is dopamine driven. They have this focus and productivity-based metabolism. Everything is about being productive and being focused, and you would consider the Crusaders are always on a mission. From an exercise point of view, they love endurance, they love light to moderate weights. Their food is higher in carbohydrates, it's regular meals throughout the day, and they are very much internally driven. They are all about personal improvement and also about increasing their status. Pretty much when you're thinking about a Crusader, you want to think about a marathon runner, just like the picture that we have here. This is a very typical Crusader physique. We then have the opposite end of that, the Guardian. Now, if dopamine is all about your own goals, then prolactin is all about everyone else's goals. This is a body that is designed to conserve and protect, conserve energy, accumulate fat tissue, accumulate muscle tissue, and they do that in order to be the ultimate nurturer. If they have lots in reserve, then they have lots to give. From an exercise point of view, their body, as you can see, is built to be strong. And so lifting heavy weights is very, very good for this body, as is slow fat-burning cardio. From a food point of view, they're more vegetarian. They've already got enough muscle. They have a huge amount of growth happening in their body all the time. They don't need as much growth stimulus in terms of proteins and carbohydrates. From a motivator point of view, they are all about family and commitment, whether it be commitment to the group, commitment to the trainer, or just commitment to the family goals as to why I'm doing this. They are very externally focused with their goals. It's all about other people. Finally, we have the sensor and connector. When we're thinking about a sensor, they have the finest, most delicate frame. And what we see with this body is that they're very, very alert all of the time, mentally alert. Their exercise, as a result, is all about mental stimulation as well, shorter in duration, lighter weight, higher repetitions, doing things like yoga, ballet, Tai Chi, where there is a mental component to things, will really support their brain. From a food point of view, this body needs lots of carbohydrates. They need it to be very well cooked as well, so they stay warm. And as a motivator, as long as it makes sense, it will be completed. They're very rule-based. So if they have a checklist of things they need to achieve and it makes sense to them to achieve it, normally nothing will get in the way of achieving those outcomes. On the other hand, we have the connector, who is all about oxytocin and connecting and building trust. Their motto is, let's just do it together. Very similar to that meso mindset. They just like getting into things, do first, think later, but this is very much a social body. They want to be able to connect and build trust while they're doing it as well. From an exercise point of view, they are incredibly robust. They can pretty much do anything at most times of the day. Their food is moderate in protein. They need to be more careful with the carbohydrates, but it's all about making it social and fun to satisfy that oxytocin urge. And from a motivator, being a special member of a great team is a really powerful thing for connectors. So hopefully with this very brief overview, you can start to see how bodies really differ, how they're driven differently, how they need different exercise and different food in order to be in their best health. And this is something you really need to keep in mind when you have expectations over your own body or other people's bodies as well.